So I'm Kerry, and do you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Mark Pepple. I've been going to one of your events lately, like helping the students become really good doctors so they can help really sick people. And one of your videos, when you were doing the clinical, Dr. Boyd asked me, what medication are you on? I said, get me the right pills, and then Dr. Boyd asked me, what doctor do you have? I said, take me to the right hospital.
Mark has actually been a clinical educator for many, many years. And Stelios was talking about having someone, Lonnie Zwagenbaum, who was taller than himself. And I'm 5'2", but Mark, how tall are you?
6 feet 4 inches.
Yeah, so together we're 11 feet 6 inches, and so we're going to co-present today. So Mark and I are going to go over here, and we wanted to make sure that Mark had a chance to be able to sit and watch part of the presentation, which he's been a part of many, many times. So Mark, would you think this was your chosen seat here? And his father Alex is also here. So we wanted to share with you something of the curriculum of caring for people with developmental disabilities. And this was definitely a labor of love. We've chosen to depict it as a fruitful tree, a fruitful apple tree. And where does fruit start? It starts with a seed. And what we wanted to do was tell you the story about the development of the curriculum of caring, its sprouting, what it's become, how it's branched out, and just give you a sampling of some of the elements of the project that we're depicting as fruit. And it starts with need. The seed is really need of people with developmental disabilities, inclusive of autism spectrum disorders, for healthcare that meets their needs. And we also recognize that students have needs too. They need to be able to be exposed, acquire some of the skills and attitudes that they need to be competent caring physicians and nurses, allied health professionals, and on it goes. So we saw a need and we saw opportunity to bring people with lived experience together with some of our students and learners. And the whole goal is to really foster compassionate, truly person-centered care for people who live with developmental disabilities. It's a partnership that includes Bethesda in the Niagara region, McMaster University, Michael G. DeGroote School of Medicine and Health Sciences, especially Niagara Regional Campus, and Brock University Health Sciences, as well as their unique Center for Applied Disability Studies. And we got together with people with developmental disabilities, determined to create a curriculum of caring that would generate healthcare providers who were more capable, that is, comfortable, confident, and competent of delivering truly compassionate and person-centered care to people with developmental disabilities. And as Lonnie was talking about, there's many elements to learning, and we believe that experiential learning is a critical key. And it has to be experiential learning that meets everyone's needs. And so what we did was we developed a curriculum of caring in Niagara for McMaster, for Brock, and anyone else who is a student in our realm to experience 3 phases of experiential learning, starting with early exposure to people with developmental disabilities and families who are touched by that. Phase 2 is to look at communication adaptations so we can be successful engaging people with developmental disabilities and finally clinical application. So just a little sampling of the early exposure phase of curriculum of caring. Really, the students were invited to come together and meet people. So we called it Bethesda Day. It was an interdisciplinary experience of medical students before they entered clerkship, nursing students, behavioral students, and social work students coming together and really being introduced to some of the people who are part of Spotlight Drama at Bethesda, the day programming, and always hearing from parents who have have something very important and poignant to say about life with a child with special needs. The second phase is clinical skills training. So before some of the students go into their clinical placements, we want to teach them to communicate care. And communicate care is an attitude that we must communicate to any of our clients, patients, people that we work with. But it's also a distillation of the clinical skills literature. We have to communicate clearly on the person's own terms. We have to be attentive to their verbal and nonverbal communication. We have to be responsive, empathic, and ready to understand and meet their needs. And finally, we have to engage the person first and others as appropriate. So the students catch on to it, and then what they do is they meet people. Many of them have been some of my patients along the way, and these are people who volunteer year in and year out to just talk to the patients and to interview the patients, for the students to interview the patients, but really very often the volunteers also are interviewing the students, and by that increasing their clinical and communication skills. And finally, they learn person-centered practices in our interdisciplinary settings. So clinical application is definitely a part of what we want to see our students doing. And we've evaluated the program over the years, refined it, and among the outcomes are a shift in comfort, confidence, and competence over the years with each intervention, and a desire for the students to learn more from people who have lived the experience, and the personal counters and the parents' perspectives are deemed the most meaningful, the most impactful, and they just enjoyed being together. So perhaps some of you have heard of the AMS Phoenix Project. The AMS Phoenix Project issued a call to caring to the province of Ontario in healthcare. And the idea is we've become very busy and technical, and we need to be able to resurrect compassion in our encounters and person-centered practices. And I knew that people with developmental disabilities not only need and deserve it, but they also inspire that kind of care. So we applied for an AMS Phoenix Fellowship grant, got it, and were able to create a curriculum of caring for people with developmental disabilities, taking it beyond our Hamilton Niagara program to something that can potentially be used worldwide. And so our aim was to enhance and advance the curriculum of caring with video and web-based resources, to evaluate each and every element of the curriculum of caring, and to expand the network of people who are interested in this kind of compassionate, person-centered care. And so we started off with focus groups across Hamilton Niagara, people with developmental disabilities who are adults, and we talked to them about what was important to them in healthcare, and specifically what was important to them when students were invited into their clinical settings. And like any patient, any of us, they want professionalism, they want good communication, positive attitudes, caring attitudes, and of course good outcomes. But the special word about the students and to the students was they want you to introduce yourself, students. And they want to know what your role is, because you may remind them a little bit of some of their high school friends or some of their more negative experiences like teasing and bullying, something that came out in the focus groups. So the focus groups, a couple of them have been published, one's in press, and I personally learned a lot from that. We have a whole host now of champion educators over the years of curriculum of caring, Mark being one of the most prominent, involved at every level. And we've also developed some videos that I'll just give you a little bit of a sample of right now. We asked some of our adults with developmental disabilities, how do you want to be treated? And this is a very brief vignette of what they say to us and to you.
Yeah, with good old respect, all good stuff.
Learn about me more about me can learn it from me.
And when you go in to see a doctor, what do you usually like to do? You
hand.
like to shake their hands, that's right. And is that important to you?
Yeah.
It is important, right?
Yeah.
That's right. It makes you relaxed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Does it make you feel relaxed?
I want them to treat me like an adult, and hopefully he would understand where I'm coming from. And if he doesn't understand, then I'll repeat it to him again. So hopefully he will understand what I'm saying.
Give me some better medication.
The right one.
Yes, and send me to the right hospital.
I would like to be treated with kindness, and I would like to be 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 noticeable a bit more.
Is there anything else you want to say to new doctors and new nurses?
Just be thankful for who you meet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wise words. And it's available on our website, which we'll hear a little more about. And thanks, Mark, you rock. And we also looked at some of our local champions. And Momentum Choir, perhaps you've heard of Momentum Choir. It's a Hamilton Niagara phenomenon. 60 people with developmental disabilities who are part of a choir led by Mendel Hoekstra. Mark is actually a new member of that choir. And we also have Spotlight Drama, a number of excellent actors with lived experience with developmental disabilities, and we brought them together to co-create some clinical skills videos depicting what it might be like if you were a student interviewing someone for the first time with different kind of scenarios in mind. And then we also determined that we needed to evaluate it. And Mark, do you remember the days that we got together and developed your script for our research? The research aimed at, do these videos, do these narratives actually impact healthcare learners when they get together with people with developmental disabilities in simulated scenarios? And what is the experience of these patient educators? And Mark, do you want to stand up for a minute? Do you remember that research?
Yes.
Yeah, and you made up your own simulated patient scenario, right? Yeah, and what name did you choose for yourself?
The name I chose for this scenario was Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. And did we give your father a name?
Yes.
What was it?
He called himself Anakin Skywalker.
Right, not Darth Vader. And so we had 4 simulated scenarios, and the students did have a shift in some of their comfort level, confidence, and one of the biggest lessons was bringing them together is extremely mutually rewarding and educational, and that is actually in its final stages of review and hope to be published. We also went across the province of Ontario looking for experts. That is clinical, educator, research experts, but also people with lived experience. And so you'll recognize perhaps some of these players. We went to McMaster University, met with some of our developmental pediatric colleagues, and I'll especially highlight our little Sophia here, who was only 2 years old at the time, one of our true champion educators. And we created videos also in partnership with Queen's University, and I'll particularly highlight one about the intricacies and some tricks for physical exams with people who have a lot of anxiety, cerebral palsy, ASD, featuring Dr. Liz Career, family physician. And we went to the Northern Ontario School of Medicine, obviously not spanning the geography of NASM, but meeting with some of the service providers, educators, and champion educators, people with lived experience. University of Ottawa came to us for some of our clinical skills scenarios. And Western University, we interviewed a number of folks, but I'll particularly highlight Grace, Over on the top right-hand corner, and Amanda Ritzman now, one of our psychiatry residents, Meet Grace, Meet Needs. Grace is an artist with an autism spectrum disorder and a wonderful little video, and also, of course, at the bottom, the New Vision Advocates from Community Living. University of Toronto. I think that's a picture of Peter Zatmari here at Mac, but nonetheless, there are a whole bunch of people who have talked about the work that they've done and with links to some of their resources. So this is a province-wide initiative. We have a number of resources that are available online, and Mark and I will be outside, and we're happy to talk to you more about the resources. We have a number of partners, and I'm hoping that after today we can add MacART, and maybe even add MacART to some of the resources. So I'm going to call some of you out to create maybe a video vignette with links to the wonderful work you're doing. And we also just want to encourage you, as people who are doing your own work in your own realm, you will be planting your own seeds, and we just trust that you will be branching out and bearing much fruit. And to that end, Mark, can you just come over here with me for a quick sec? Can you hold up that apple bushel that we have here? I brought it in, but it kind of gave me a sore back. So Mark and I will be sitting at the lunch hour with this vast bushel of apples. We encourage you to come and get one. They were actually picked yesterday in Niagara. That's where we live. And you're welcome to come get one and to talk to Mark about his experiences. And we also, because of the Phoenix Project, have Phoenix Kleenex, and we're trusting that some of the moving moments in the curriculum of Caring videos will translate into a fruitful future for people with developmental disabilities and all of you. And with that, I think I may be at the end of my time limit, and thank you.
Hi Mark, I'm Erin.
Erin,
Yeah. I'm just wondering what it meant for you to be a part of all of this. How do you feel about being part of this project?
I feel good about being part of the project. I feel good about being part of this project, and I would like to participate and create a project. I make a new link to this MacART video, and give some apple to some students at lunchtime. And I would like to invite the students who are here, who are coming here to this presentation, and invite others somewhat. And we look forward to when they become doctors, so they can help the really sick people and help them get better.